Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for being with us. Over the weekend, we saw torrential rains that have had a serious impact on our state that we're likely to feel for several days. In the last 2 to 3 days, Mecklenburg, Burke, Caldwell, McDowell, Gaston, Alexander, and Catawba counties received as much as 12 to 15 inches of rain, which was much more than predicted. We also saw significant rainfall in a very short period of time here in the central part of our state. And there's more rain on the way. Thunderstorm chances are increasing this afternoon and evening, which could lead to additional flash flooding, mudslides, and downed trees. There's also a danger of river basin flooding over the next several days. So please listen to local officials for flood watches and warnings in your area. And you can also check FIMAN, that's the Flood Inundation Mapping Alert Network, at fiman.nc.gov, which can show you the problem areas with our river basins. And I know you've heard this message from me before, but flooding can be dangerous and deadly. There have already been more than 80 swiftwater rescues of people across Alexander, Avery, Burke, Caldwell, Catawba, and Mecklenburg counties. All of these rescues highlight the need for people to exercise caution. So I urge everyone to take these warnings seriously. Remember, there were at least 10 motor vehicle deaths attributed to Hurricane Florence. At least 3 counties have declared a state of emergency, including Alexander, Caldwell, and Catawba. This helps us to coordinate our storm response and prepare for additional impacts. There are also shelters open in Catawba and Mecklenburg County, and a few people have sought safety. We've also seen significant flooding and road damage in northern Wake and Franklin counties. Other areas have seen some significant road damage as well. So please be careful when driving near road crews and emergency responders who may be working in the area. And remember never to drive around a barricade through water. People have gotten killed that way. As little as 18 inches of moving water can sweep a car away. So please, especially if you live or are traveling in western North Carolina, pay special attention to weather forecasts and remain vigilant. I have with me today Emergency Management Director Mike Sprayberry, Department of Transportation Secretary Jim Trogdon, Department of Public Safety Secretary Eric Hooks, the Commander of the Highway Patrol, Colonel Glenn McNeil, and Commander Gregory Lusk of the North Carolina National Guard. And my interpreter today is Lee Williamson. I'll first recognize Mike Sprayberry for a report. Mike?
Thank you, Governor. The state EOC increased its readiness posture yesterday afternoon and had staff here at the EOC last night. Currently, we're activated at a level 3, which means we have North Carolina emergency management staff here and selected state emergency response team partners. That includes the Department of Transportation, Highway Patrol, National Guard, Health and Human Services, Forest Service, and American Red Cross. Other agencies are on alert and can be called in quickly. As the governor said over the weekend, we brokered mutual aid with local swiftwater rescue teams to support over 80 rescues in Alexander, Avery, Burke, Caldwell, and Catawba, and Mecklenburg counties. No swiftwater rescue operations are currently underway, but crews are standing by to assist as necessary. Impacted counties have requested Forest Service bridge crews and bridge mats to provide access to isolated homes and communities. These missions are currently underway. As the governor also said, the threat of flooding continues tonight, so we urge everyone to be vigilant and log in to our Flood Inundation Mapping and Alert Network, known as FIMAN. You can log in at fiman.nc.gov. That's fiman.nc.gov. That way you can determine the flood threat at your location. Finally, I want to thank our local partners for sharing information and resources with us throughout the event. They are the strength of our program. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. I'll now recognize Department of Transportation Secretary Jim Trogdon.
Thank you, Governor. As the governor said, over the weekend we had a large number of roads that were flooded due to intense rainfall. That number, which was approximately at 100 at its peak, was down late yesterday to 62 and is currently at 50. We have 3 primary roads closed. The remainder are secondary roads, and those 3 primary roads are all in this region. One is US 401 just between Franklin and Wake County lines, and the other 2 are NC 96 and NC 97 near Zebulon. In total, 11 roads in the Wake County area, 12 in Catawba County, and 8 in Alexander are the largest number of roads that are still closed. We are inspecting and repairing those as quickly as possible as soon as the water recedes. Most significant damage you'll see in the picture is US 401 in the Wake County line, and then 2 SR routes in Catawba County. We will be monitoring rainfalls closely. As Mike Sprayberry said, we anticipate right now it looks like scattered showers, so we shouldn't see any additional impacts, especially farther downstream. However, we'll be monitoring that closely. So we suggest to anyone that's traveling in these regions, please use drivenc.gov. That's where we have the latest events posted as to where roads are currently closed. You will see barricades and detour routes established. Please do not drive around barricades, and please follow those detour routes. Thank you.
Now the Commander of the North Carolina Highway Patrol, Colonel Glenn McNeil.
Thank you, Governor. A special thank you to all the media that's present and have been assisting with helping us push out our public safety messaging throughout this storm. The State Highway Patrol continues to work with our local and state partners to ensure that any flooded roadways are identified and closed as soon as possible. Since the storm and over Saturday and Sunday, the patrol has responded to well over 4,000 calls for service. Our main 2 public safety concerns continue to be vehicles that approach flooded roadways attempting to pass through moving water, and drivers exceeding the safe speed during heavy rainfalls from the storm. Please stop and think about your safety, the safety of your passengers, and the safety of those who will have to come to rescue you if you make a poor decision. I can assure you that members of the patrol will continue to work diligently throughout the course of this storm and the coming days to help identify any public safety hazards that this weather event may pose. Please notify the State Highway Patrol at star HP or star 47 if you encounter a flooded roadway. Your call could potentially stop a needless loss of life. Thank you.
Any of us are available for questions that you might have.
Governor, and this also may be for the NCDOT Secretary as well. Looking at the roads and highways that suffered damage from this weekend's weather, particularly US 401 in Franklin County, do you all, as far as have a time frame and maybe from a monetary or money standpoint, as far as how much is it going to be to fix these roads, and when can people living around here expect to see these roads back up and running?
I'll leave that to Secretary Trogdon.
We're working on those answers as we speak. We're fortunate on US 401, that was an active construction project where we were taking the 2-lane road, widening to 4 lanes, so we have a contractor that's already there. So we're working on what additional work needs to be done, how to sequence that in to get that open as quickly as possible. A great example is that location was supposed to have a large precast culvert, new culvert installed. We're tracking to see where that is in the manufacturing process, how we can get that sped up, and how we can get at least one direction open as quickly as possible. We realize how important this one is to Franklin County, As most people are probably not aware, about 70% of the Franklin County residents work in Wake County. So this is one of the primary routes with about 20,000 cars a day using that two-lane stretch of US 401.
And if I may too, just as a follow-up question, looking at what we went through this weekend, of course, hurricane season is underway, with June 1st already coming through. How do you all feel about the state of these roads around North Carolina, especially in this part of the state, after going through what we went through this past weekend?
We're working every contingency. So a great concern, most of the primary roads in North Carolina are designed by standard to meet 50-year storm frequencies. Interstate is usually between 75 and 100 years. And so as you can see from this particular event, 7.5 inches in 4 hours, based on NOAA's Atlas 14, that's a 1,000-year storm event, which means we can't expect all of our facilities to withstand that. That's why you see this kind of local damage done. So we're working all of those contingencies. How do we make sure we can respond? And then in the longer term, what do we need to do to make sure our infrastructure is more resilient than it is today based on this increase in storm frequency that we're seeing?
This weekend was part of our new normal when it comes to weather. Sudden and severe weather can strike at any time, and we have seen already significant flooding events that should occur every 500 years or 1,000 years are occurring frequently. So that shows the importance of being prepared. It also shows the importance of making sure that we are as resilient as possible when we repair and rebuild. I think 401 is an example of that. We need to make sure that we deal with future water events, because unfortunately we believe these things are going to continue to happen and we have to be ready. Other questions? All right, thank you very much.